love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look up. Don't be scared. I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so on, you're gonna be hurting bad. Cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad. I stay strong, you will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look up. Don't be scared. Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing.
Welcome in everybody to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe P Zapia, and what a show we've got for you today. We've got a live full PPR mock draft action spectacular for you. 14 teams, my goodness. Some of the players we'll be drafting today are going to be so excited that we're talking about them. And of course, everyone's talking about the cast of characters we have here at Fantasy Pros, including Derek Brown, D-Bro, aka the King of Bros, joining us, Mr. Big Pot Energy himself, straight from the gym. He just can't, he literally, he just threw in the work bag, threw down the towel, came here to the podcast. He's ready to draft. He's completely jacked and ready to go. Andrew Erickson's here. And of course, Samantha Previte is with us from the Action Network. It's so nice to have you back on the show again. I know you joined us a few times last year. Samantha, I just want to welcome you back. And first of all, I just want to say, you told us you've been all over the place the last couple of weeks. You've been over at the Fantasy Fest hanging out with everybody. You've been over at Action Network in LA. What's it like being a jet-setting rock star of fantasy and wagering?
That is the kindest intro that I've ever received. So I may need to pay you to be my hype man. It's a little exhausting. My liver, my organs all need a little bit of a refresh. My body's you could use a water. That's literally how I felt coming back. So I had a great time at the expo. I got to hang out with some of your colleagues that were super, super fun. So that was really cool, and just get to meet a lot of cool faces.
Well, there you go. Well, we're very happy you're joining us again here on the show. Andrew Erickson, Derek Brown. I know yesterday's Disney show was a huge success. I know everybody has been commenting about it. So I don't know where the show's going to go today. And this is why you stick around, because you just never know what's going to happen. And of course, here on the program, we like to keep things fun. We like to keep things informative. That's what we do. Andrew Erickson, 14-team league today. A little bit different strategy. What slot are you drafting out of today, Andrew?
Going in the 106. I actually have a home league where I'm drafting 106. I got to pick my spot, so I want to kind of test it out, give it a test run here, and see what I can get from the middle range.
Yes, I am a benevolent dictator. I let people pick their draft spots. That's what I do when I send them the draft link. Derek Brown, you selected your draft spot as well. You are actually where? You are at number 8 today, correct?
Yep. Erickson chose a spot 2 ahead of me, so preparing for pain between that and Fuzzy being in this draft. Hi, Fuzzy. Love you. It's going to be an interesting draft, as usual.
It absolutely is. And Samantha, you selected to be right behind Derek Brown. Is that despite him? I certainly hope it is.
Absolutely. I can't wait to snipe you all like the whole time.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, look, this crew is already ready to go.
Forward.
We are excited here. Before we get going, I want to remind everybody, too, we've got an amazing giveaway. In case you don't know about it, we've got a Javonte Williams autographed Denver Broncos jersey, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com. All you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I know you're watching us here on the YouTube channel right now, and our subscriptions have gone just through the roof. We're over 150K, thanks to all the incredible work of the team, and of course, Chris, our fearless leader. I mean, literally, he has no fear. We'd like him to be afraid of a few things, but he keeps telling us no, he refuses to do so. But again, that Javonte Williams jersey can be yours. As you're watching the video today, make sure you like it, make sure you share, subscribe, and click that little bell for notifications. Every time it goes ding, Chris gets another pair of wings. He's got a lot of wings. That's all we know for sure. And then you can claim your prize. But again, we're not giving it away today, just to be clear. But if you want to get entered, make sure you make a comment here and you're a subscriber of the YouTube channel. And today, obviously, we're going to be using our multi-user draft software, courtesy of FantasyPros.com/draftwizard. Now, you all know about the Draft Wizard. Draft Wizard is an incredible tool to get you ready for your drafts. You can run simulations by yourself. You can use the multi-user draft like we are here. We've got the mock draft lobby. We can draft with other humans. You can send links to your friends, to your enemies, and get ready and prepared for your fantasy season. It doesn't matter what kind of draft you're doing. If you're a premium member too, you can do all sorts of cool things with Draft Wizard, including set all the keepers in whatever rounds they are and then do the draft. Who else can do that? Nobody. Just Draft Wizard. That's all. Check it out at FantasyPros.com/draftwizard today. And don't forget, we have got something very special coming up. Oh my goodness. On Monday, August 29th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Right here, Fantasy Fest. You see it right behind me on the screen. It's incredible. 6 hours of glorious fantasy football content. All of us will be here. Maybe we'll convince Samantha to join us again if we don't annoy her too much here for the next hour and change.
Never.
But we have got Andy Behrens, we've got Jake Seeley, we've got Jamie Eisenberg. The best of the best are all joining us for you to talk about fantasy football to get you ready. So once again, subscribe to our YouTube channel of Fantasy Pros. Click the bell for notifications. 3 p.m. Eastern, we start, and we're going to go 6 hours strong, baby. And I'm telling you, you're going to want to watch the whole thing, because by the time we get past 8 o'clock with me, that's when the real show starts. When I get punchy, that is going just chef's kiss. That's what we're talking about. The best content you'll ever see. Last year was pretty hilarious after the 10th hour or whatever it was. So, all right, if we are all ready now, we're going to try to kick things off here and begin the draft. So once again, it's 14 teams. That's where we're at right now. We've got some fantastic people joining us here for the draft. We got Aloha from Hawaii, Tua legit, which I enjoy that. Erickson didn't like it. I thought it was funny. Retro Bit Coach, John's Bum Leg, BPE drafting 6th. I'm at the 1 spot. FFF Formula, that's a lot of Fs. Then Derek Brown, Samantha, Lucky Hoosiers. I just assumed every Hoosier was lucky, but now I know. Raptors with 2 Z's. Why not 3? I don't know. Fuzzy's in here. Just Cup Me. Hodor is also in the draft today. So we've got a lot of fun people. So let's get going here. I am up first. I know Christian McCaffrey's now the consensus number 1 or so. A little birdie told me. I ain't hearing that noise. Jonathan Taylor won in a 14-team league. Yes, I am Mr. Justin Jefferson, and I've been doing this the whole year, but I just want to remind everybody in a 14-team league, it's a different calculus. So if I have a top early pick, I will take the big time running back early on. I will take Jonathan Taylor still. Are we just sick of how good he was last year? Is that we're just bored with it? Is that what's going on here for all those people elevating CMC? I don't get it. Samantha, who's your number 101 pick here?
Yeah, it's got to be Jonathan Taylor for me still. Obviously, crazy, amazing season last year, and I just don't see that slowing down. Christian McCaffrey, you could make an argument, certainly, like, especially in PPR formats, but it's been 2 years, really 3 years since we've seen him perform to that level, and it just really does scare me as a Panthers fan, a tortured Panthers fan. I have to watch these games, and it so it's certainly a bummer to go on that like CMC roller coaster. I had so much exposure to him last year, like it really made me sad. I actually ended up coming back and winning one of those leagues, but it is hard to win a league when your first overall pick is Christian McCaffrey last year, at least.
It is so difficult. And that was why I keep telling everybody the same thing, which is, look, man, if you've got the whole board, it's one thing to take that risk at 4, 5, 6, top 3 picks, man. I just don't understand why. I know my colleagues here disagree with me, but what else is new? That's what makes the show fun. All right, Christian McCaffrey goes second to Hawaii. Then Tua takes Jefferson, obviously one of my people here. Retro goes ahead with Cooper Kupp. Then Austin Eckler. BPE, Andrew Erickson. Who did you select with the 6th pick overall?
Dalvin Cook. That's kind of who I'm honing in on. One of these Vikings players. If I get a top five pick, I think Dalvin Cook's my RB3 because last year he was the consensus number 2 running back off the board behind CMC. And what's different? He's another year older. Okay, he'll miss a couple games. Okay, but all 3-down skill set, high-powered offense, going to catch the ball a ton. Give me Dalvin Cook.
All right, Dalvin Cook. Big fan here, obviously, of the show. We know Dalvin always likes to shout us out on Twitter. We love you, Dalvin. Then Formula goes ahead and takes Derrick Henry. Derek Brown, you were up next, and you took another one of my new favorite players at running back.
I mean, come on. This year's Austin Eckler, baby. I got him in the second tier of running backs. He's one of the favorites that I think, if it's not Dalvin, it's these other guys, could be an RB1 overall this year. It took DeAndre Swift, man. Pass game involvement, red zone usage goes up this year. Wheels up.
Wheels up for DeAndre Swift. Now, Samantha, you took a page out of my book. You went wide receiver once. Let's talk about the selection of Jamar Chase at the 109 because I love it.
That was tough for me because Najee Harris was also on the board, which I didn't expect both of them to be available at the time. So it was a little bit of a tough decision, but I obviously think that Jamar Chase offers crazy good upside, especially in PPR formats, and being more dependent on a running back that has to have that volume is a little bit more of a risk, I think. So I think Jamar Chase feels like the safer option and the higher upside option.
Now, when you have after Chase goes Harris, Mixon, Barkley, Kamara, Jones, all in a row, does that give you any pause? Because obviously in a 14-team league, if you're going to go ahead and take that wide receiver, you'd like to see maybe not quite the running back run that just happened, but that's part of the draft, right? That's something you have to happen. So how do you pivot from that now? Stephon Diggs goes to begin 201, then Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. So now we're going wide receiver on the way back. So what are the running backs, or maybe you're doubling up on wide receiver or something else? What's the strategy now after this is unfolding?
Yeah, I might just keep going wide receiver here. It's I'm trying to take a look while I'm still drafting. Obviously, yeah, to your point, you don't want to see a huge run on running backs after that, but there is a good amount of depth in this position actually this year.
All right, we had two tight ends go off the board. So Travis Kelce at 204, Mark Andrews at 205. Samantha, you got plenty of time to make a selection here. And while Samantha's making a selection, I want everybody out there to make a selection on draft day of Miller Lite, baby, because as you can see, we got the Miller Lite going here. MillerLite.com/buy-beer-online is the place to go ahead and get all set up for your draft day experience. It's got only 96 calories in it. It's practically good for you, folks. But seriously, you're sitting around with your friends, you're doing drafts in person. A couple years ago, we couldn't do this. Make a party out of it. Have some fun. Go to MillerLite.com/buy-beer-online. Get a bunch of Miller Lite. Sit around with your friends. Watch some preseason football. Get it for Monday Night Football, for Thursday Night Football, for Sunday all day. So many options. Again, that's MillerLite.com/buy-beer-online, because picking your fantasy team is difficult, but picking your beer shouldn't be. And I love the Miller Lite. I like the MGD. I like the High Life too, but that's only for special occasions because that's the champagne of beers. But Miller Lite, that's better for your fantasy draft. All right, let's go and recap the picks here. So Samantha, you ended up going with a running back who obviously pretty steady presence as well. So let's talk about Nick Chubb at 206.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about getting Nick Chubb right there. I mean, like you said, there's kind of starting to be a run. It wasn't a panic pick or anything. I feel really good about Chubb this year. So he's obviously been super solid in previous years. Don't know what, honestly, like Kareem Hunt's status is as on this team long term. And, the first 11 games, they could be in a situation where they have to lean on the run a lot more. So I could certainly see, Chubb having this really substantial role.
All right, so Samantha selects Nick Chubb, Derek Brown. That picks to you at 207. Who'd you take?
I mean, in a 14-teamer, most of these drafts, as long as the guys fall to me, I'm going to go running back because the pool just dries up so fast. So went with Uncle Lynn, went with Leonard Fournette. I mean, in the preseason we saw, like this last week, he's still the guy. He's the bell cow. He's going to play all the snaps, run the routes, and this is what we want. Tom Brady's back in camp, and this is still going to be a really good offense. Although, I will say I struggle between going Leonard Fournette or Javonte Williams just based off of total ceiling.
That's fair enough. I can understand that. Now, after you selected Leonard Fournette, Michael Pittman went off the board. I thought he might make it back to me, but FFF Formula was not going to let that happen. Big Pot Energy, you're up next. Talk about your selection while I go ahead and make mine.
Yeah, I took at the 209, I took A.J. Brown, wide receiver 1 season for the Philadelphia Eagles because that's what's going to happen. This dude is so efficient. Jalen Hurts is targeting him like nobody else. I mean, I think A.J. Brown, I think Michael Pittman going before A.J. Brown is really aggressive. And I get people are trying to buy the Pittman breakout, but it's like, or you could take this mystery box, or you could take the guy that already broke out.
Wait, is that an option? Can I take the mystery box? I didn't even know that was something I could do on the show. But
Peter, you can't.
Brown's established as an alpha in the NFL, so I'm excited that I was able to get him.
All right, let's continue on here. I agree, by the way, for the record. Derek, I'm sure, agrees too. Samantha, do you agree too? A.J. Brown still over Michael Pittman?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, honestly, I've been a little high on Alec Pierce too. And they've got Jelani Woods has been one of my favorite kind of targets for long term too. So that's something that like could muddy the waters with the addition of lots of pass catchers on that offense. Obviously, they haven't upgraded at quarterback, but it's, I'd rather take the proven guy than someone you kind of have to bet on having a better season than he's ever had.
Make it a sweep 4 for 4 there for all of us, A.J. Brown and for Michael Pittman, but that's why you do the drafts. And remember, every single draft is a snowflake. They're completely different, and everyone in it's super sensitive when you talk about their picks. Tyreek Hill goes next at 210. Then at 211, Ezekiel Elliott. Javonte Williams did not make it back to me. So sad. 212. Then at 213, Mike Evans. Then I had the back-to-back to end the second and begin the third. I went Mike Williams and Cortland Sutton. Taking the Derek Brown train today, which is upside, going way up the hill, swinging for the fences. Let's go. Give me the two guys there, Mike Williams and Cortland Sutton, that I think are going to take that next leap. Keenan Allen would have been safer, yes, but I'm not playing safe in this draft today. Let's have some fun. Keenan Allen does go directly after a 302, then Kyle Pitts to a legit at 303, then James Conner, Josh Allen off the board at 305, in case people are wondering when a quarterback might be in line to be selected. I even thought about it where I was, but look, I think there's 14 deep quarterbacks that you could feel pretty good about. Then next is BPE. Erickson, let's talk about your selection next of T. Higgins at 306.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if T. Higgins was going to fall to me here. I was kind of looking at him between him and Deebo Samuel before. I kind of see a bit of a tier break in terms of the receivers, at least the way I have them ranked. So T. Higgins, again, he gets overshadowed a little bit because of how good Jamar Chase was, but T. Higgins was, wide receiver 1 as well. So I think that if you see this Bengals passing game dial up the attempts, kind of like what we saw at the second half of last season, I mean, you're going to see T. Higgins and Jamar Chase return top 12 value apiece. So I'm going to take that with T. Higgins in the third round.
All right, so there you go. T. Higgins goes to BPE. FF Formula takes Deebo Samuel. Derek Brown, let's talk about your selection. A guy who I was contemplating there, but again, I'm swinging for the fences. I feel like his fence, very strong, very, very good player, Jalen Waddle, but I don't know what the upside is this year over guys like Williams and Sutton, but certainly the floor of Jalen Waddle has got to be something you feel really good about at 308, right?
I mean, he could just, look, guys, we saw the rookie season last year. He could catch 90 plus balls, 100 balls again this year. Tua is awesome. I don't care what, consensus says about him. I do want to roll this back a little bit, Joe. You took Cortland Sutton. Are you finally on Team Sutton? I don't want this to get overshadowed here.
I've never not been on Team Sutton, and in a 14-team league where you're swinging for the fences, it makes a lot of sense there. I want a piece of the offense if I want to have some more fun. Plus, there's an added bonus to tweak both of you by selecting him. So, to me, that certainly doesn't hurt my feelings about it at all.
All I heard was I like Sutton more than Judy now. That's all I heard.
Yeah, wait, I'm pretty sure I have receipts of you challenging me to a Judy Cortland Sutton in the Slack.
Be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
I'm just saying.
Because we have that Cortland Sutton pulls a hammy in week 1. Next thing you know, I win that bet and it's over. Let's be careful.
Oh, and your team here is sunk. Okay, cool.
Be careful. Let's be careful. Goes full CMC. All right, Samantha, you went with a hometown pick there. Carolina Panthers wide receiver DJ Moore at 309. Let's discuss the selection there. Nice number 2 behind Chase.
Yeah, I feel like I had to pivot from, pumping up Joe Mixon for so long. I had to find someone else because now Joe Mixon's awesome. So DJ Moore is my guy, not just a hometown pick, but obviously he's got one of the better quarterbacks that he's ever had in his career, and that's saying a lot. And, I think that he's due for some positive regression with the touchdowns. So the touchdowns will come. The usage is going to be there. The Panthers won't be as bad as I think people think they will be. Like, I think they are a solid 500 team, good enough to not get a top draft pick.
No, that's for sure. And all right, let's continue on here. After you selected DJ Moore, Travis Etienne goes at 310, then Deontay Johnson at 311. Cam Akers next at 312. Now we're getting closer to turn. Breece Hall, Chase Edmonds go to finish out the 3rd round. The 4th round begins with Darren Waller and David Montgomery, 401 and 402 respectively. Fuzzy's up next here, takes Rashad Bateman, of course.
Knew it.
So you could put that right in the books. We knew that was happening. It's amazing. I love it. This is why I love our folks on Discord. And today we got a mix of people from Twitter and some folks from our Discord too. These relationships we have with our Discord people, they're real. Like, we talk about Fuzzy like he's a buddy of ours because he is, because we all get in that community. We all talk about football together. That's what you can be a part of over on Discord. And if you haven't joined in already, you should. It's free. FantasyPros.com/chat is where you can get involved in the Discord. And just like everything else, when you're a premium member of Fantasy Pros, you get more access to us, access to the AMA channels, access to stages every single week with all of us too. Lots of fun things going on there. Rashad Bateman at 403, Terry McLaurin at 404, Lamar Jackson 405, the second QB off the board. That's fun. J.K. Dobbins goes to you. Samantha, let's talk about it at 406, J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's on track to be back for week 1, or at least early in the season. We also saw today that Gus Edwards is going on the PUP list, going to miss at least 4 weeks. So I think that opens up some touchdown opportunities too, just like the way that Gus Edwards had been used 2 years ago in the goal line position. We have to talk about 2 years ago because they were both out last year. What are the odds, right?
Right.
But yeah, hopefully he stays healthy. And I think that, I was high on him going into last year, and I want to stay high on him in the same way that, we were high on Travis Etienne. We're still drafting him as a top 20 guy.
You and I see the board the same way. I could not agree more with you with J.K. Dobbins, too, especially that Gus Edwards news that broke earlier today. Certainly at least lets him get off to a hot start and hopefully keep most of those touches to himself, even as the year continues on. Debro, you were up next at 407. What'd you do?
I debated it between a few different wide receivers. Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis was on my list. I went Brandon Cooks, a player that I haven't drafted much in these. And we know the target share is locked in. So PPR leagues, he's going to gobble up a lot of volume. So I went that direction with this pick.
All right.
Just know that he was the guy I was waffling between with Dobbins.
See, Derek, now you know you were right.
I feel bad, but then I'm also at least I feel vindicated. At least I was on the right thought process.
Never look.
Love it.
That's a dangerous place to be, is when you need Derek Brown to vindicate your feelings and thoughts on anything for that matter. George Kittle goes after Brandon Cooks. Gabriel Davis goes to you. BPE Erickson 409 in a 14-team league. This is when you start reaching for the players you want to get, right? Do you think it was a reach at this point for Davis? Or you feel like, nope, this is appropriate, let's go?
No. I mean, I feel bad for the people I'm drafting with that you guys were on Brandon Cooks over Gabriel Davis. Like, come on.
Are you gonna send us a Hallmark card or something?
Yeah, seriously. Am I gonna gift basket or something?
I do love a good edible arrangement. I mean, not gonna lie, man. The fruit's always very fresh. All right, talk more about Gabriel Davis. Go ahead.
I mean, what else is there to say? Oh, he has a full-time role now in the best offense in the NFL, and all he does is catch touchdowns. So, yeah, give me Gabriel Davis.
All right, Gabriel Davis it is. All right, Patrick Mahomes goes. I'm going to go ahead and, you know me, I love me some wide receivers, so I'm going to go ahead and buy back in, swing it for the fences too here. Let's go with Michael Thomas and see what's up with him. Hopefully the hamstring is not too big of an issue here. And then this is a tough one, looking for that second RB. Now it is a PPR, so it opens up a little bit more. Guys like Kareem Hunt, guys like Tony Pollard, even Ramondre Stevenson still in there. I'm going to go with the guy with the best offense, and that's Tony Pollard. And hopefully there's enough upside here in this offense as my second running back to sustain here. So I've started Jonathan Taylor and Pollard, along with wide receivers Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas. I'm going to war with this. This feels pretty good. I like where it's at here. All right, so just to recap again, because I'm not sure if I did, because sometimes these shows move pretty fast, just like Ferris Bueller used to say. If you don't slow down, you might miss a pick or two. Allen Robinson goes at 410, then Patrick Mahomes at 411, Eli Mitchell at 412, A.J. Dillon right before me, which, for the record, would have been my selection. So Hawaii, I wonder if Hawaii is Keno, one of our friends here. I don't know who Hawaii is, but I have a sneaking suspicion who it might be, but then I took Thomas and Pollard. Darnell Mooney goes next at 502, Justin Herbert at 503, Jerry Jeudy at 504. Debro, let me ask you this question because I saw it in the chat. When a 14-team league, quarterback does become slightly more of a priority because if you have a great one, it does help in terms of an advantage. But how early are you willing to go that route?
I'm looking at quarterback for this pick.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Now BP is going to take your guy.
I know.
Erickson,
I know.
the jig is
He's
up.
going to sit here and snipe me.
Well, let's ask the same
happen.
question to Erickson then, since he's got the next pick. Judy goes, DK Metcalf goes, 506. Erickson, is it quarterback time?
I mean, seems like a brilliant idea to me. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Go
I'll take that as a
Jalen Hurts,
compliment.
baby. Let's go. Who I have ranked as QB2.
All right. Wow. QB2. Wow. Man, we're getting to that part of the year, aren't we? Josh Jacobs at 507. Derek Brown, you're up next at 508. So it's up to you now, D-Bro.
It's all good. I'm just going to take the guy that I have in the same tier with Jalen Hurts, similar upside to him and Lamar Jackson. Give me Kyler here.
Kyler Murray goes. Another fine selection here. Looks like we're in a bit of a run here. 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks going so far in the 5th round. Samantha, are you going to buck the trend or are you going to jump on this quarterback wagon as it leaves the station?
I'm bucking the trend.
Good for you. Don't take no crap off nobody. That's what Robert De Niro would say.
I thought about it for a sec, but you know what? I'm gonna stick with my original plan.
And the original plan was
to wait. I know it matters more in these leagues, but still, I think that there's really good value all the way down to QB 14 and even beyond. So I'm happy getting one of the later guys.
And you ended up selecting Marquise Brown here at 509.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to buy into this high-powered offense. He's going to have even more value at the beginning of the season, and even once Nuke comes back, like, you know, he's like 30 years old, which is ancient in pass catching terms. So, you know, I mean, who knows what his role, if he's going to keep that same role of being like that huge touchdown target for Kyler. So we'll see. I definitely believe in Marquise Brown.
All right, Marquise Brown, followed by Amon-Ra St. Brown to Lucky Hoosiers. Then Raptors selects Chris Godwin. Going pretty late in drafts, Chris Godwin. BPE, I want to talk to you about this one, Erickson. Chris Godwin, his value right now, he's going here at the 5'11 in a 14-team league. Does that sound right, or is that too late for Chris Godwin?
It just depends on your tolerance of how you can handle him in the beginning of the year. Like, if you feel like you can make way with either waiver wire guys, I think it's tougher as a sell because if he is limited to start the year, like, you are going to the waiver wire to pick up a starting wide receiver, which you don't know how good that player is necessarily going to be. Whereas in a 10-team league, you can probably find a good replacement for Chris Godwin as opposed to in a 14-team league. So I get the value here. It's just probably not a pick that I would probably make.
All right, continuing on with these picks, I know we have more wide receivers off the board. So Chris Godwin goes at 5'11, then Drake London at 5'12, Juju Smith-Schuster at 5'13, Elijah Moore at 5'14. Ramondre Stevenson starts the 6th round off, followed by Joe Burrow here. Also, I want to remind everybody, if you're watching the stream, take a quick minute, actually not even a quick minute, just a second to like it because again, this is why we're here. We're here providing the fantasy football content for you. If you're watching and enjoying it, give us a quick like here. Smash that little like button. It goes a long way, and we appreciate all of you. And I just want to say also, too, just as a side note, just thank you, everybody, for all the great comments and all the great sharing of everything. You guys have just been awesome this year. We're having so much fun doing the show for you guys. And we're just so lucky to be doing the show with you guys, for you guys. And we just really appreciate all of you. So I just wanted to say something nice. And I'm sure I won't say many other nice things the rest of the show. That's not why I get paid. I get paid here to say just truths. Sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're not. All right, Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes next. You know how I feel about that pick. Fuzzy, I don't like it. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is toast. I think it's over. I think it's done. Antonio Gibson, I guess there's a theme going here, D-Bro, in this round. Running backs I hate in the 6th round, 604. Kareem Hunt at 605 goes next. Samantha, you are on the clock, and you did go quarterback this
I
time.
did go quarterback. You know what? I changed my mind. I was actually hoping that Joe Burrow fell to me because I that would have been a nice stack. But I believe in Russ this year. I'm really excited about this Denver team. So it's a bummer that they lost Tim Patrick, who is weirdly like one of my favorite players. And it was a thing that Dan Harris and I kind of started because we had this whole thing that we figured he would be more popular if he had a more exciting name, but instead he sounds like a guy that does your taxes.
He does.
And therefore he's always undervalued.
That is a classic Dan Harris bit. And, Dan Harris also, ironically, sounds like a guy who does your taxes and looks like one, too, for the record. My buddy Dan Harris. Samantha, how much do you put stock into pairing of players to a quarterback, wide receiver? Because you did mention you were hoping Joe Burrow. So is that something that really just, like, if you have a big-time wide receiver you want to do, or is that just something, if you can do it with any wide receiver quarterback combination that you like, you want to do?
I think I prioritize it more if I got like a really big wide receiver. Sometimes I go really running back heavy early, so it's like not as big of a deal. Obviously something that it's bigger consideration in DFS, but obviously there's a correlation there, but then it gives you the risk of, if one has a stinky game, then the other has a stinky game. So, but I think that Russ is a pretty safe pick. I mean, right now where he's being drafted and kind of like the QB 10 range, like I feel like that's his floor, so I'm pretty excited about him.
All right, so after Russell Wilson went, let's talk about your pick. Derek Brown, 607 is?
I decided to go ahead and take an upside shot on tight end. I've talked about Dalton Schultz multiple times on the podcast. I love him this year. Think he's going to be gobbling up a ton of volume, so especially in a PPR format, love it. I mean, he's my Mark Andrews this year, but you don't have to pay up in the 2nd round or 3rd round for him.
Oh, that is always nice. All right, FF Formula takes Dak Prescott. Then Big Pot Energy, let's talk about your selection. Dameon Pierce at 609, flying up the draft boards.
Yeah, I mean, because he's the Houston Texans starting running back. So I like the upside here with him. And look, we could come out week 1, he could get 20 carries, and then we're ranking him as a top 20 running back from here on out. So I'm willing to take that here in the 6th or 7th round, because I think feel comfortable. I mean, look at him versus the other running backs here. Like you have other running backs that are listed here that are all kind of have some question marks about what's their role going to be. Whereas Pierce is like, we haven't seen it yet from him, but it could take 1 week and we could all be convinced, okay, he is now the guy in Houston. And all indications are by them resting him in the preseason, by Lovie Smith talking about like, we don't need to see this guy anymore. Like he's locked and loaded. I want to be part of it. I want to be on the Dameon Pierce ascend.
All right, fair enough. So Dameon Pierce ascends to Andrew Erickson's squad. Amari Cooper goes at 6'10", Adam Thielen at 6'11", Devontae Smith at 6'12", and then Hunter Renfrow 6'13". Then it was me. I took Tom Brady over Trey Lance. So something in a 12-team league, I probably would have taken Trey Lance, but in the 14-team, I like a little bit more stability. I like that nice warm blanket. Makes me feel good because, look, I want to know what I'm getting in these leagues, because when it's deeper leagues, the replacement value is much tougher. You want to go a little bit more with what you know as you're continuing to build out your roster. So it's decisions like that when it comes to those moments in the deeper leagues. In a short league, like 10 teams, give me Trey Lance all day long, because if I'm wrong, I'm sure I can find some other quarterbacks to make up that ground or draft another one later. But this one's a little bit tougher. Give me Tom Brady instead. Then I took Christian Kirk, who I think is going to surprise a lot of people this year. He's my 4th wide receiver. He's my flex play. I think in a PPR, he's going to get a lot of targets. And if preseason's any indication, I think he's going to be a great value in drafts. Brandon Ayuk goes next at 702. Then Alan Lazard, another Joey P favorite, goes to Tua at 7-3. Dallas Goedert at 7-4. Damian Harris, who lasted much longer than Ramondre Stevenson, in case you're keeping score at home, and I know you are, 705. BPE, you are up next. Where do you go?
Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, New York Giants. Just think that he is a breakout candidate written all over him, and you can get him super late. So I love the upside here as my flex play.
All right, so there you go. And Andrew Erickson knows about flex plays, let me tell you. Just take a look at the biceps. He understands flex better than anybody on this show. FFF formula, a lot of Fs. He's on the clock now. He selects James Robinson, or she potentially, my bad. Derek Brown, you are up next at 708. Where are you going next with your pick?
I mean, Andrew just keeps taking the top of my queue. I had Damian Pierce up there.
Well, in all fairness, you did talk about Hurts.
I'll take another guy that's I'll take an upside swing here. Give me Sky Moore. Juju Smith-Schuster. I've talked about how I'm not a believer. He's already dealing with a knee injury. The door is slowly opening for Sky Moore to just blow up this year.
Yeah, it's funny, Samantha, as you comment on players, I realize all of our draft boards are very similar, which is good. I always like when smart people all kind of coalesce around the same names. Why do you like Sky Moore? And then we'll talk about your pick next at 709.
Why do I? Sorry, that was to me. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, obviously he is a guy that I think is being a little bit undervalued because he went so late. Like he had that draft pick over under, like people were kind of like anticipating him to go like early second or maybe as a fringe first. And he ended up going in the second round, and it seemed to like impact, I think, people's perceptions of him. But going into the draft, I thought he was a great prospect, and he went to one of the best, if not the best situations, thinking about going to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes right out of the gate, and not having that much competition. I mean, Juju, I think it will probably be the top guy, but Sky Moore, I mean, like there's going to be so many targets vacated by Hill leaving. I feel like he had like 150 targets last year. So it's certainly a huge opportunity and a really good upside play.
All right, let's talk about your your selection here of Rashad Penny at 709 too. What kind of upside is in there for him?
Yeah, no one it's like an unsexy pick. I get that. Like no one likes Rashad Penny right now, but like he's the guy that won us a lot of fantasy leagues. I seriously, like people are quick to forget that he had this amazing stretch down the stretch and everything, and like had like a 600 yards in the final 5 games of the season, was the RB1 from week 12 onward for fantasy. And yeah, obviously they've got Kenneth Walker, but I think that we saw what Drew Lock offenses sometimes have to do. They have to rely on the run, and I think that there's going to be a lot of carries to go around there, especially with Kenneth Walker maybe taking on some more of that like pass catching work.
All right, Rashad Penny at 709 feels like a good value to me. He's also your third running back. Could do a lot worse. Chris Olave at 710, Tyler Lockett at 711. Trey Lance finally does go off the board at 712. Then DeAndre Hopkins at 713. Devontae Parker rising up boards there. Look at Hodor holding the door open for my boy Devontae Parker and all 6 healthy, amazing games he's going to give the Patriots this year. I'm so excited. Aaron Rodgers at 801, then TJ Hawkinson 802. We're coming back around Fuzzy, then Raptors, then Lucky Hoosiers. Again, I want to remind everybody to like this stream, and don't forget to subscribe to Fantasy Pros, because when you do, you get entered to win, guess what? The Javonte Williams autographed jersey, thanks to our friends at pristineauction.com. Don't forget right now, all you got to do is be a subscriber, click the bell for notifications till they go ding, and make a comment here in the stream about whose team you like, what picks you don't. It's fun. Be nice, be respectful, but say your mind at the same time. We like that. Go give us the comments here and comment down below as you're watching the stream that you're liking it, of course. We like you, so we want to give you stuff like this Javonte Williams jersey. So once again, go check that out. We like to take care of our people here at Fantasy Pros. You're our people. Miles Sanders, I think Fuzzy might be on auto pick. I'm a little worried. He took Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Miles Sanders. Maybe Fuzzy wasn't prepared for this draft today. I don't know. Maybe Fuzzy's at work and still trying to make sure he's in there, not getting fired. I don't know. But I don't like either of those picks here. Miles Sanders, not a fan. Just go in the other direction. Matthew Stafford, 804. Tyler Boyd at 805. Back to you, Samantha. What are you doing at 806?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I took Robert Woods. Obviously, at one time he was a fantasy football darling and has fallen out of favor with pretty much everyone because he's on the wrong side of 30, coming off of a major injury, all the reasons that you don't want to take someone. But that said, I mean, I think that he gives you a nice floor and some safety, like in this offense. I don't want to buy too much into some of the like preseason rumors and scuttlebutt that says like Treylon Burks isn't taking reps with the ones, which was a little concerning, but I still think he will eventually be the guy. But like Robert Woods is, I feel like he's going to get the targets. And at that late in the draft, I feel he was like wide receiver 40 or something off the board. So it's not that huge of an investment. I think he will be at least like a viable flex play at the beginning of the season.
Samantha, you're always one of my favorite guests because you're super smart. You know what you're talking about. You're prepared, but you also use the word scuttlebutt on the show here today, which is got to be a first. And I hope it's something that we all pick up the torch and continue to do because it is a great word, underutilized. I'd like to hear Derek Brown use it when he selects his next pick here. So what'd you do after she took Robert Woods? Where did you go, D-Bro?
I don't know how to work scuttlebutt into this. So
I knew you wouldn't. That's why Samantha's elite and you're you're a tier below. That's where you are.
Look, I used to work at the New York Post, and the word scuttlebutt was important.
There's a lot of words at the New York Post, I'm sure, that were used that probably aren't at times. All right, go ahead. D-Bro, talk about your pick, and then we got Erickson up next.
Yeah, I mean, look, I went RB to start this draft. Now I feel like at this point in the draft, wide receivers versus running backs, I'm going to take the PPR upside of James Cook. I get, and I know Erickson's talked about it, Devin Singletary has been running a lot with the first team. They didn't draft James Cook for no reason. He's going to get used in the passing game if he can take over this backfield even halfway through the season, because the Bills have said time and time again they wanted a pass catching back. I'll take the upside swing with James Cook here.
All right. Speaking of upside swings, we also have a few other picks coming up that are interesting in this one. Cordero Patterson goes next at 808. BPE, Erickson, talk about your pick at 809.
Yeah, so I needed a tight end, and I noticed that a lot of people picking after me, including you, Joe, also needed a tight end. So I wanted to jump on it first. And Zach Ertz, look, DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be available for the first 6 weeks. So even if Ertz is not someone that you can rely on at the end of the year, when Hopkins was out at the end of last season, Ertz was a top 5 tight end. So in a PPR format, the dude was just racking up receptions. He's going to be at his healthiest in his prime at the beginning of the year, and that's when I'm going to need him. And then if he starts to fall off when Hopkins come back, okay, I'll look to the waiver wire for tight end. But I think from a late round tight end perspective, like I feel great about getting Ertz here in the 8th round.
All right, so Ertz in the 8th round, you feel good. John's bum leg selects Devin Singletary at 8:10, then Chase Claypool at 8:11, Jacoby Myers at 8:12, Cole Kmet goes at 8:13. Then I went and took 2 running backs trying to get some depth here before that falls off a map because I feel like it's going to if I don't do something soon. So I took Ken Walker. We'll see eventually if the health pans out, and we'll see if Rashad Penny can stay on the field. So I'm kind of hedging a little bit from Samantha's selection of Rashad Penny, who, again, I'm with you. It's got to count for something, but I think people are just so afraid of all the time missed for Rashad Penny. So I'm going to take a stab at Walker, see what works out. I'm going to take Kenneth Gainwell as well from the Eagles offense, which Mr. Eagle himself, Derek Brown, knows that's the offense that's going to lead the NFL in everything. So why not take some Kenneth Gainwell? But I think
he's a player. Top IQ.
Look, man, gaining steam, PPR. Once again, you have to look at running back, especially in a deeper PPR league, differently. Guys like Gainwell, if they really carve out a role in the offense every single week, there's a lot of good potential volume you'll get there and allows you to go up on the board at wide receiver earlier. Kirk Cousins goes next at 902. Really nice value there at the 902 spot. Melvin Gordon at 903. Nyheim Hines at 904. Brian Robinson at 905. Another nice selection there. BPE, who you got?
I'm going to go with Treylon Burks for the Tennessee Titans, rookie wide receiver, who has been extremely polarizing all the entire offseason. It's up, it's down, he sucks, he's great. He's playing in the 4th quarter with the backups. He's a boomer bust prospect, and that was part of his profile, and it just kind of encapsulated over the offseason of kind of the mixed reports. And he's a bench receiver for me. So I feel like this is when I want to take some shots on some guys with high upside. Like he could be the number 1 target on the Titans offense, or he could be buried on a team that never throws the football. So it's a very wide range of outcomes with Treylon Burks, but I don't need him to hit week 1 for me. So if I start to see his role increase, then I'm going to feel good about using him later down the line.
Is this feeling oddly reminiscent for you, Erickson, of last year? Remember, this was the time of year where all the negativity about Jamar Chase was seeping in and he was falling down draft boards. I'm not calling him Chase. I just want to be clear. He is not the same talent as Jamar Chase. But it feels kind of eerily similar about like a young wide receiver who maybe is, trying to work his way through camp a little bit. Some negative things have been said in the press. And then all of a sudden, it all gets washed away and he becomes the star that people drafted him for in the first place. Is that feeling eerily similar to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we just go and look back at how these situations usually play out, it's like, most of the time we overreact to things in the preseason and the offseason. If you just go back to his body of work at Arkansas, he was a super, great college production. Again, a lot of it was schemed touches. And if the Titans decide one day to wake up and be like, all right, we're just going to get Burks the ball no matter what because we need offensive production, and then he's going to blow up. So it's going to take one 80-yard touchdown catch and run for Traylon Burks to be like, wow, maybe this guy isn't horrible. And to get him basically in the 9th, 10th round, I mean, I don't need to start him. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like he's a bench receiver for me. And I can look at the upside with him on my bench and not have to, start him and be like, oh, he didn't play enough. I can wait and see.
All right. FFF formula takes Julio Jones at 907. Then Debro, another wide receiver, goes to you at 908.
Yeah, Julio Jones is top of my queue, so good pick by formula there. Like Rondell Moore here. Erickson's talked about him. I love him. Cliff Kingsbury, at every turn that somebody stuck a mic in front of his face, he's talked about Rondell Moore. And if we think that DeAndre Hopkins could be dust, I know that Zach Ertz can get a lot of targets in this offense, but Rondell Moore getting higher usage in this second season, I'm here for the talent and the possible breakout.
All right, he's here for both. Samantha Previte, you are up next at 909. What are you here for?
Sorry, hold on. I am.
Yeah.
You're just going back.
It's a lot.
So I just
we know we're a lot to deal with here on the show. We accept who we are.
I just took Pat Freiermuth. There is a reason that they call him Baby Gronk. He is a guy that I was pumping up a lot last year, and he doesn't get the same credit because he didn't have a Kyle Pitts season, but not everyone can have a Kyle Pitts season, right? He still had a great season. I think he finished top 13 overall, and that was with a terrible Ben Roethlisberger. I am very much convinced that Mitch Trubisky or whoever they roll out there will be better than what we saw from Ben last year. So, and we've seen that tight ends can be more immune to subpar quarterback play. So I really like that, especially with Juju gone, a little bit more targets vacated for him.
Alec Pierce goes next to Lucky Hoosiers, then Michael Carter at Raptors, then Russell Gage at 912, George Pickens at 913, Joshua Palmer, two wide receivers in my queue, now gone. Rashad White, I'm sure right out of Erickson's queue at 1001, Kenny Golladay at 1002. I don't know if anybody had him in their queue. Just Cup Me did select Kenny Golladay, though, so he'll have some explaining to do, or she'll have some explaining to do at some point in time. David Njoku at 10:03, then Darrell Henderson at 10:04. Trevor Lawrence goes. So is that the first quarterback that team has selected? No, second. So interesting there, too. This might be that time where people are looking to get that second QB in the deeper league. And Samantha, you're up next for the 10:06 pick.
Yes, I just took Garrett Wilson off the board finally. I thought he was falling a little bit far for what he is. I'm pretty excited about him, obviously, as a rookie. Now, people don't get that excited about Jets players. I get it. Their offensive line has gotten even worse, I think, with the Mekhi Becton going on IR for the rest of the season. So there's definitely reasons that I'm fading the Jets in general, but I think that was good value in the 10th round for a guy that I feel like has Jamar Chase level talent.
All right, Derek
He does
Brown.
not have Jamar Chase's situation.
But. No, he does not. Joe Flacco, not quite the same level of Joe as Joe Burrow, or even Joe Pisapia, potentially, for that matter. But no, probably not. He's got a Super Bowl ring, but I've got this Miller Lite hat, and it's pretty cool, so I'm loving this. All right, Derek Brown, you're up next. Where are you going?
So looking at the board right now, I'm going to get the reach alert here from Draft Wizard, but I went with Isaiah Pacheco. In this range with running backs, we're looking at a lot of guys that are one injury away from really capitalizing on massive ceilings. And while I'm a little bit below market, probably on Isaiah Pacheco hype, at this point in the draft, 10th round and a 14-teamer, and as my fourth running back, I want to buy into good offenses. Did that with James Cook. I'm going to do that with Pacheco.
All right, I agree. It's a time to do it. It's a 14-team league. Let's go. 10:07, Isaiah Pacheco. Then Dawson Knox, 10:08 to FFF Formula. BPE, you selected one of my favorites here at 10:09.
Yeah, future Bears RB1 Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, buddy.
Because I just have no faith in David Montgomery being the guy there. I think Khalil Herbert's a better running back, like, honestly, and I wouldn't be surprised if the coaches think that as well. So, yes, Herbert's not going to be someone you can play alongside David Montgomery, but if they decide, hey, we're going to move on from Montgomery gets hurt, in a contract year, maybe they trade him or something like that. I think there's a path where Herbert gets a lot of volume, which he will need. Basically, any Bears running back is going to need a ton of volume to get anything done because the offensive situation is not ideal. But I don't have many running backs on my roster right now, so I need to take some upside plays here in the 10th round.
All right, upside plays indeed. After you took Khalil Herbert, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, then DJ Shark goes at 10:11, 10:12, Jahan Dotson, Alexander Madison, 10:13. Then it comes to me. A couple Cowboys out there too, Jalen Tolbert and Michael Gallup. I kind of like the fact that Gallup is starting to run around and do routes already. Nico Collins looked pretty good in that preseason game as well, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with Dallas here. As much as Tolbert is interesting to me, I do think Michael Gallup eventually will be the guy that I'm happier that I select now. Once again, in a 14-team league, I'll want a little bit more known entity because that replacement value it's just hard to find. So Osborne and Gallup, I went back-to-back running back with the last two picks, this time back-to-back wide receivers. J.D. McKissick goes next at 11:02. Tua is up next. Now, BPE, when it comes back to you, what are you targeting here?
More running backs because I have 3 running backs on my team. So it's very obvious for me right now because, in a 14-team league, you look at the draft board, you're like, oh, like there'll be some late round running backs. Then you look and you're like, oh my God, like they're already starting to come off the board. So that's why, with an early wide receiver approach, I feel good about my receivers. I don't need to stockpile so many receivers on my bench because my starters are so strong. Whereas running back, I need to kind of fall into some production, whether it's because of an injury or something like that. So I'm looking at the running back position.
Okay. And as we continue to recap the picks here, just need one moment to scroll through. Okay. J.D. McKissick is again, as I said, 11:02. Then Isaiah Spiller at 11:03. His draft stock's taken a little bit of a hit recently. Marlon Mack at 11:04. Mike Gesicki goes next at 11:05. Clearly, I've punted tight end, so it's going to get ugly for me there. But that's okay. I'm ready to do it. This is what I do in a lot of drafts, just punting tight end. All right, BP, you're up next. So Darrell Williams is the selection at 11:06.
Yeah, Darrell Williams, I still think that he has the most to gain from a potential James Conner injury. I know that the preseason usage has kind of been mixed between Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams. Williams hasn't really played a lot. He rested the first preseason game. He played like 4 snaps in the second preseason game, but that's honestly a lot like what they did with James Conner last year. James Conner barely played in the preseason last year for the Arizona Cardinals, and he obviously ended up having a massive role for their offense. So I think that if Conner does ultimately suffer an injury, I think Darrell Williams would take over his role where Eno Benjamin would kind of still act in his standalone role as a receiving back out of the backfield. So I'm going to chase some ceiling here with Darrell Williams in a high-powered Cardinals offense.
11:07, Jarvis Landry, and then a Derek Brown fan favorite at 11:08. Off the board now to Debro.
I like good players. I like good offenses. And I'm kind of approaching this draft the flip side of what Erickson's talking about. He went wide receiver early, taking shots on running backs. I went running back early because I love the PPR slot wide receivers late. So the fact that Isaiah McKenzie is still buried in the ECR and the rankings is kind of crazy to me because he's the starting slot wide receiver for one of the best offenses in the league. And we've seen what Cole Beasley does. Top 40 wide receiver. So why is he going this late? I don't understand it, but I'll happily draft him this late in every league.
All right. Who are you happy to take next here? Samantha at 11:09.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about taking Zamir White. Obviously, it feels like a little bit of a reach. I did not get that notification, but those are kind of cool. I just want to say, cool UI. But yeah, I mean, I need some running back depth as well. And in these rounds, this is when I feel like I'm starting to especially value some of the younger guys that I feel like could be sort of like lottery ticket type guys. And we've seen the usage of Josh Jacobs, maybe overusage, maybe a little overreaction, but also Kenyon Drake has gone off the team. So it's like looking more and more like he may have a path towards usage. And yeah, it's a good team, good offense. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. So I think a lot of points will be scored.
Yeah, Debro, you were a guy who talked a little bit about Kenyon Drake the last few weeks. Did it surprise you when they released him this week?
It didn't surprise me because we've been hearing like they've rested Amir Abdullah over the last 2 games. I mean, basically the team had already come out and said, okay, well, he's going to be the passing down back. Let's go. So the fact that they got rid of him and he was playing into the third and fourth quarter with backups. So again, and of course, I'm tipping my hand here that Amir Abdullah is near the top of the queue. So good times.
Good for you. I want you to have all the Amir Abdullah shares. I want you to have nice things, Debro. I really do. I mean, he must be the nicest human on the planet. That guy's still kicking around. It's unbelievable. Zamir White goes to Samantha. Then after that, Jameson Williams at 11-10. Nico Collins at 11-11. Jalen Tolbert 11-12. That wiped out my wide receiver queue. Jamal Williams at 11-13. Romeo Dobbs. There you go. It finally happened at 11-14 to Hodor. Then Dearness Johnson at 12:01. Raheem Mostert at 12:02. Alberto, not for me. Thanks, Fuzzy. So Fuzzy basically just rubbed my nose in it. Way to go, Fuzz. So that's on. Good job. Good job. You got me there, buddy. Derek Carr next at 12:04. Samantha, it's going to be back to you. Another pick here. What are you looking to select here as a way for Lucky Hoosiers to make their selection of Tyler Algier?
That was who I had, and that was my whole queue is gone right now. So
happens fast around these parts.
Crap.
Well, while you're thinking, I want to remind everybody to like this stream. Give Samantha a little bit more time. If you're watching here on our YouTube channel, and I know that you are because you just heard me say that, well, like the stream. It's very easy to do, and we appreciate it here. So just go ahead, smash that like button. I think you can only do it once, but you can tell your friends and share that and tell them to like it and as well. And then all of a sudden, it's beautiful things happen here. All right, so where'd you end up going with your selection here at 12:06?
All right, no one feels great at this level. Like everyone's kind of feeling a little icky, but I took Marvin Jones. Not a super high upside guy, but I am in on this Jaguars team. I think there's some post-hype sleeper appeal. People are really fast to write them off after a pretty bad year where people thought they could go from zero to hero. But I think every year that Urban Meyer coaches, like that gets thrown out. It's like it's no good anymore. So I'm not going to hold that against the entire Jags team.
That's good. That's good of you. I think it's time that we shake off the dust of last year too. What happened last year was just horrible, wretched, no good. And we should never talk about it. We should put it in a lockbox and drop it at the bottom of the ocean, and then hope for just better things ahead for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Derek Brown. You select another one of your favorites here. This is boy. If Derek Brown doesn't give this roster an A+, then I don't want to do the show anymore. Who'd you take at 12:07?
Good offenses, taking the lottery tickets late. Tyrion Davis-Price, come on down. I mean, I haven't drafted him, I think, in the last 2 mocks we've done, so had to go back to the well here.
All right, back to the well for TDP. All right, from TDP to BPE, in between the Buffalo Bills defense off the board in a 12-team league. A little early. Boy, that's a Joey P move right there. BPE, who'd you select here at 12:09?
I went with Wan'Dale Robinson, rookie wide receiver for the New York Giants. So for those that have been paying attention, I also drafted Kadarius Toney earlier in the draft, and now Tony's dealing with this knee thing. There's some knee injury that's kind of kept him out of the preseason games. So trying to draft smart, draft savvy, and if Kadarius Toney doesn't fire, well, then Wan'Dale Robinson's kind of the next man up. I do not believe in Kenny Golladay whatsoever, and Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy that they're designing touches for in the Giants offense. So if Toney gets hurt, I feel good about like sliding Wan'Dale Robinson into that flex spot as a potential big piece of this Giants offense.
Do you like doing that, Andrew, where you say, if it's not this guy, then it's going to be that guy in a draft? Or do you think that's kind of cutting your nose to spite your face a little bit? Because, if kind of like that zero hedge conversation we had a couple weeks ago with Graham Barfield, are you hedging a little bit here too much in an offense that maybe doesn't have enough worthy of hedging?
I mean, not really, just based on like the value and what else is on the board. Like, am I going to take, McCole Hardman instead of Wan'Dale Robinson? Like, at least I know, like, if Kadarius Toney is hitting on all cylinders and it's great, it's like, okay, then the Wan'Dale pick, doesn't turn into anything, but I have Kadarius Toney, who's a top 20 wide receiver. But if he doesn't hit, then, having McCole Hardman or some of these other receivers like a Robbie Anderson, like, I don't know if that doesn't really move the needle for me. It helps me from a roster management standpoint know who to actually start. So if a guy misses time, I feel confident, promoting Wan'Dale Robinson up in my lineup, because I think it's important to not only draft players that you think are going to score a lot of points, but draft players that you know how to roster the right way. Like there are certain archetype of players, a lot of these pass catching running backs that can be really hard to figure out when to start them every single week. Like Nyheim Hines, I just can't draft because I don't know. I'm not Frank Reich. Like I don't know when he's going to start or when he's going to get the ball. So I can't draft him.
It's one of the things I don't like about you is that you're not Frank Reich. Every day I'm like, why aren't you more like Frank Reich? I love you, Andrew, so much. You know that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and recap the rest of these picks here because you got Corey Davis at 12-10 and Samantha kind of nailed it. This is that time of the draft where you just don't feel good about much. Christian Watson at 12-11, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 12-12. Hunter Henry goes right before me. Aloha from Hawaii. Aloha just said hello and goodbye to my last tight end that I kind of wanted to draft, but I took Irv Smith instead, and then the Indianapolis Colts defense here because in a 14-team league, I like having a defense I like in a soft division that is a late bye. 14, that's a long time. That's many, many weeks away. So I can just keep that Indianapolis Colts defense in there and use the waiver wire for other things and not mess with my roster too much. Justin Fields goes next at 13:02. Tua is coming up next after that. I want to remind everybody, once again, if you're watching this stream and you haven't, make sure you subscribe to Fantasy Pros because we are giving away that Javonte Williams autographed jersey thanks to our good friends. And I mean good. They're great. Our great friends at pristineauction.com. The best place you can go to get all the autograph swag. They got helmets, they got jerseys, they got everything. And this Javonte Williams autographed jersey can be yours. All you have to do is subscribe and comment on this very channel right here in the stream, and you will be eligible to win it. We'll give it away whenever Chris tells me I'm allowed to give it away, but I'm not allowed yet. He told me, don't screw up like last time, you moron, and I'm doing my best not to do that. All right, after Justin Fields goes, Mark Ingram goes next at 13:03, then Matt Ryan at 13:04, the San Francisco 49ers D at 13:05, BPE, you're up next at 13:06 yet again.
Yeah, I'm going back to the running back position because I need as much depth there as possible. So I think that the pick went in. Yeah, I went with Josh Kelly for the Los Angeles Chargers. So Isaiah Spiller has an ankle injury, so he's going to miss potentially the start of the regular season. He's going to miss the rest of the preseason. And Josh Kelly's been running as the number 2 back in LA. So does this mean he's going to be the number 2 back all year long? No, because Kelly has had many opportunities to earn that role and has yet to do it. But he's getting another golden opportunity here with Spiller sideline. So if Kelly can prove that he is a good complement to Austin Eckler, then he's a guy that, look, high-powered offense. If they're going to limit Eckler's touches to keep him healthy all year long, then Kelly's really an interesting piece to look at as part of a good offense. So I like getting Kelly here late.
All right, Kelly goes, and now Sony Michel goes next at 13:07. And then Derek Brown, you're up next at 13:08.
I've talked about this guy on social media. He is the discount version of Alexander Madison. If he gets the role, I mean, look, if Najee Harris gets hurt, he's going to play all the downs. He's the number 2. I've talked about him even before training camp started, although some of the beat writers don't exactly like this around the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Jaylen Warren, taking him here.
You have 2 Jaylens on your team. How do you feel about that?
I'll make it.
He wishes he had 3.
He wishes he had.
No.
Damn! We should just stop the live stream right now. There's not enough bandwidth to support the burn from Erickson there. Oh, it was so good.
I blame Joe for this, okay? Just so we throw this out here, because he tosses the question to me, what are you thinking about getting? And I'm like, Erickson's going to take Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, quarterback does sound like a good idea.
I was like,
I could go for a peanut butter and jelly
it's
sandwich.
going to happen.
That sounds delicious. I'm so glad
I blame Joe.
It's okay. I'm used to it. Everyone blames me for all of the failures of things. All right, Samantha, you're up next. 13:09. Where are you going with your pick?
Yes, I went Donta Foreman. I think that, we talked about CMC's speckled injury history. It's something that I think that he could be another discount version of Alex Madison. I think we've seen him be productive when Derrick Henry went out last year. So, it's 13th round. It's no one's sexy, but they're guys. Like, I would rather get him here than have to bid my entire fab on the waiver wire.
Fair enough. I think that's a good point, too. It's like, at this point in a 14-team league in these last few rounds, you are kind of almost thinking ahead, right? And saying to yourself, all right, who could I see being the first waiver wire week 1 claim guys? And why not just draft him now, right? I mean, it seems like a better practice. I think that's an excellent way of looking at the board. Los Angeles Rams 13-10, Robbie Anderson 13-11, Ty Montgomery. That's a savvy little pick there by Fuzzy. Fuzzy, you're back in my good graces after these last couple picks here. Good job. Denver Broncos 13-13, Gerald Everett at 13-14. Then at 14-01, we've got Jameis Winston, followed by Ronald Jones at 14-02. Amir Abdullah. Oh no, Fuzzy must be watching. Fuzzy's definitely watching the draft at the same time. We love you, Fuzz. Amir Abdullah gone. This is why Derek Brown can't have nice things. Raptors with 7,000 Z's selects Mecole Hardman. Paris Campbell still in the NFL, people, if you can believe it. 1405. Samantha, you're up next, and you took a D.
I did. I just wanted to get one that is not absolutely terrible. Obviously, like to wait later, but they went out faster than I thought they would in this draft. So I went the Patriots defense here. They were DST2 last season, fairly reliable as far as defenses go. But I'm happy to stream, and they do have a late buy, as you mentioned before. That's something.
Late buys. Late buys are helpful in deeper leagues. It allows you, again, not to muck with your roster and your bench too much and is Ben Fab early when you don't want to. Derek Brown, you also broke down and took a defense, eh?
Because I'm not going to get sniped by Andrew Erickson.
No more, baby. Hashtag never again. Derek
Spike
Brown.
Pick. Spike
right.
pick.
And it was the Cleveland Browns. So obviously the opening Cleveland Browns schedule is what you did there, right, D?
Oh, absolutely. It's mouthwatering. They faced a laundry list of just bad quarterbacks and bad offenses. So, sorry, Erickson. Not so sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. There you go. BPE, you're up next. Tua Tagovailoa. I just made up a whole new name. I'm getting tired. Tua Tagovailoa. Miller Lite. Online, buy it now. No, just Tua Tagovailoa at 1408 off the board. My apologies to Tua and his entire family. I'm just tired. All right, BPE, who'd you select here? You took a D as well.
I took the Baltimore Ravens because they play the Jets week 1. And they play the Dolphins in week 2. So I think that they're actually a real life good defense. I know that they basically were decimated by injuries last year, which is why they were horrible at the end of last year, but they're healthy now. I think that they're a positive turnover regression candidate from a DST perspective. So they're a top 5 DST for me, and definitely one of the defenses I'm looking at if I can't get Cleveland, and Baltimore is one of the guys I'm looking at.
I like that. I like that you live in the moment. You just leave week 1. Where am I go? That's it. I just want to go.
Well, that's all that matters, because then you just stream the rest of the way. So I think
fine.
you should put a premium on who your DSTs are playing week 1.
Is that in a 14-team league, though? Do you think that's as viable as a strategy as? And 10, forget it. Of course it is. 12, we can have that conversation. But what about 14? Do you think it's as viable?
Well, I just don't think that we can project. Defenses change so much from year to year. So you could think by drafting the Buffalo Bills in round 10 that they're going to be a juggernaut. They play the Rams week 1. How is Tre'Davious White going to do returning from his injury? Like, the Bills defense may not be nearly as good and not worth, a 10th round pick when they're just an average defense and the Ravens end up being better. So I just don't think you can look at it from this DST is going to be good, because if guys get hurt, then you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah. And look, if you want to learn more about defense, you could listen to the IDP pod with myself and Scott Bogman that's coming back for year 2, where we can tell you actually about some of those defenses and can give you a heads up on that stuff, including the individual defensive players on that. So that's right. We do IDP here too. Well,
that is I have this crazy IDP league. It was my first fantasy league ever. 16 team leagues, wow. $250 budget. And yeah, it's 7 IDP spots, so it's no joke.
Nice.
I'm in a 16.
I'm in a 32 team dynasty league. 32 team dynasty league, IDP spots, copies of every player. It's insane. It's run by Bob Harris and Mike Dempsey. It's nuts. It's hilarious. I do it with Bogman because I figure between the two of us we can make it work. The fact that was your first fantasy league, Sam?
That was my very first fantasy league.
Oh my god! And you're still here.
Yes, I'm still here. Wow. I just ended up thinking that's just what fantasy was. And it was cool to find out there are easier ways to do it. But also, that is my most fun league. It takes about 4.5 to 5 hours to draft. And by the end of it, a lot of people have consumed a lot of alcohol. And we're just, it's a fun time.
From MillerLite.com/buy-beer-online. I'm sure that's exactly where that alcohol came from. But I imagine after you do that, everything's easy though, right? Like you do that draft and then everything after that's just kind of cake. It's like throwing a softball and then you pick up a little tiny rubber ball and then it goes much further. It's a lot easier. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Oh, actually, I got to go backwards even more. After BPE took the Ravens, Curtis Samuel at 14-10, New Orleans D at 14-11, Van Jefferson at 14-12, the Los Angeles Chargers, another one of my favorite sleeper defenses, at 14-13. I went and tried to back up my Irv Smith selection with Noah Fant. There was also Mo Alley Cox at the tight end position. I was also contemplating. I think he's going to be used potentially more than people realize. I took a second quarterback with my last selection, Mac Jones at 15-01. This is why I went early defense, because I knew there'd be quarterbacks in the end, and I wanted to take a second quarterback in a 14-team league, and there was enough there. So that's how you budget your picks, which you're looking at the board. Yeah, you might as well take an advantage somewhere, especially if you know there's enough supply and demand in another position. Donovan Peoples-Jones at 15-02, Gus Edwards 15-03, Retro Bit Coach went with Trey Sermon, KJ Hamler 15-05. BPE, talk about your selection here at 15-06, your last pick.
Timed out, so that's why I picked Tyler Higbee, who I did not want to pick here. I don't want to draft 2 tight ends because Tyler Higbee was going to be on the waiver wire, so like I don't need to draft 2 tight ends. I wanted to draft Damian Williams for the Atlanta Falcons because I think that there's a scenario where he's like sees a lot of work in the backfield if they're moving Cordero Patterson and using him more as a wide receiver. So Damian Williams has been running a lot with the starters during the preseason, and he has a coaching connection with the running backs coach for the Falcons who came over from Chicago with him to Atlanta. So last year we saw a coaching connection kind of put Cordell Patterson on the map. So I think Damian Williams in really deep formats is a guy you want to see. Let's see. I think he's going to have a big role week 1. I think it's going to surprise people.
All right. Derek, Samantha, let's do your picks, and then I can see the rest of the board because obviously the draft has ended, so we'll do grades, and then we'll look and recap the rest of the board. But, Debro, who did you select? Let's go with you first.
So this morning, rumors from The Athletic and stuff on Tennessee, Dontrell Hilliard looks like the RB2 in Tennessee. So if I don't believe in Derrick Henry, I might as well believe in the RB2 with the Tennessee Titans, who has pass-catching upside for a PPR league. Yeah, went Hilliard here.
Why do you hurt me? Why do you say these things? I don't understand. Why do you do this to
Joe,
me?
but you're not drafting Derrick Henry.
Well, because I haven't been in a spot to draft Derrick Henry.
I know.
Next
So
year,
we're
no matter where I am, I'm just going to take
Derrick Henry truther, but he loves wide receivers early.
Because everyone's just letting me do it. I mean, look, if you let me eat cake for breakfast,
no, you can draft Derrick Henry if you want. No one is preventing you from drafting him.
I want to.
I just don't want drafting him.
Ladies, I just don't want to draft him over Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and his ADP is ahead of those guys, so you're never going to draft him.
Yep.
Fair. All right, let's move to your last pick here. The only real lady in the room here, Samantha. Who did you select with your last pick?
I punted and took David Bell from the Cleveland Browns. He's this wide receiver class was so stacked. So obviously there's just been so much talk about guys like Olave and Drake London and everything like that. But David Bell's a guy. He came off the board in the 3rd round, and I think that he'll have at least he could compete for that number 2 spot. So there's something there. He could even be awesome. I don't know. At this point, like I said, I like to take the younger guys that offer a little more upside, especially since I have a number of older guys on this roster. So I was kind of trying to balance a little bit of the age.
All right.
Risk.
With that balance, let's see what the draft wizard grade you, Samantha. What was your grade?
Not great. I got a B-. So
B-.
my
That's
parents
pretty good.
would be mad at me.
This is not going on the refrigerator.
Wow.
I know, exactly.
That's pretty good. Andrew Erickson, is yours going on the fridge?
I came in 2nd, so I got an A. I think an A-. Yeah, A-, 92 out of 100. So
definitely
I win.
In the fridge. You win. I got a B+, so that sounds about right here. How about you, Derek Brown? Is yours going on the fridge, or you're going back to summer school?
I'm not in summer school territory. I think it could be fridge worthy. It's a B+. I'll take it.
Oh, so okay. I got an 8. What's the number? So I know. What's your number?
87. Now I might take the Sharpie out and kind of make it into an A before it hits the fridge.
Oh,
but
I see. Yeah. All right. Mine's an 89, so it's just I'm 2 points better than. That's all I care about. Yeah, especially if you hurt me after that Derrick Henry stuff at the end. I don't care for that. All right. As you can see, whenever you're using the multi-user draft software, again, that's available at FantasyPros. that you can go check out fantasypros.com/draftwizard. You get all this analysis on the back end here. We like to kind of peel through it a little bit, recap the teams real quick. We know it's a long draft, 14 teams, but honestly, we're doing pretty good here on time, all things considered. We do have Tua as number 1. So Tua is going to win an upgraded subscription to Fantasy Pros. Congratulations, Tua. Big Pot Energy, you already work here, so you don't get anything except you get to spend more time here with me. So congratulations. Aloha from Hawaii. I'm not surprised. Nice draft there from Aloha from Hawaii. Number 3. I was number 4. Derek Brown 5. Fuzzy is 6. Derek, what's it like to finally beat Fuzzy? This has got to be a big moment here.
I mean, even a broken watch is right twice a day. So, I mean, I was kind of due to eventually, considering Fuzzy kept sniping all my players. But, it's good to see. It's good to see.
All right. And Samantha, I mean, 8 in a 14-team league. Look, when you go through and you look at the rosters, we're all going to go through these things. But in all honesty, it's always harder in that middle because you're kind of at the mercy of all of the runs, especially in a draft this long. If you have to have your selection here, are you somebody typically that does like an early pick or a later pick so you kind of avoid kind of hearing it from both ends?
Yeah, I think I'd probably like to have a later pick, but not like dead center. I don't know. Like 9 felt like a good spot, but then I didn't love it in the end. But I felt like in the end, like my draft was fine. I think that the grade was kind of lower because I did reach for some like the random guys towards the end, and that kind of skews things. But those are guys, like I said, that I'm kind of swinging for the fences with, hoping that one of them works out. Like Zamir White, like obviously I reached for him at that spot, but I have a theory behind it, so hopefully it just pans out.
I don't think it's a hot take to say you didn't reach for him. I don't think it's a reach at all. That section. Let's look at the expert opinions. Let's see. We've got a couple good ones here on mine. Andrew Seifler, who works for me, also writes for Fantasy Black Book, gave me an A-. Thank you, Andrew. That means I'll hire you again next year. And me, I got an A+ from myself, 97. It feels good to like myself so much. It's good. How about you, Andrew Erickson? Thumbs up, any thumbs downs of note here that you thought were fun?
Well, Joe, you gave me an 86 out of 100, so appreciate you.
Sounds right.
And there were people that gave me a higher grade than myself. I only gave myself an 89. So the Wizard liked me more than I did. Dalton Del Don from Yahoo Sports, Dave Klug from Football Guys, and Mike Finelli from Fantasy Pros. So those guys all gave me 90 plus grades. So the love, I'm feeling the love.
Mike Finelli from Fantasy Pros gave me an A+ as well. So there you go. Derek Brown, are you feeling any love from any experts out there?
Yes, I love myself a lot. Gave myself a 90, and Smitty apparently likes my draft as well. He gave me an 88. Now turning over to the hate channel, Ryan Hicks from Belly Up Sports gave me a 54, so not putting that one up on the fridge.
Yeah.
And Jorge Edwards gave me a 32, so apparently I do.
He gave me a 59, so we have to have some words.
To go to summer school, or at least Jorge and I need to have a conference.
Jorge does not like us. I don't know why. I don't know what we did to Jorge. Samantha, when you look at the expert opinions tab, anybody thumbs up, thumbs down sticks out to you?
I can't go to that because I don't have a premium subscription.
Oh, well, then we have to fix that right away. We have to make sure we take care of get you in there.
I tried, so I actually have that little pane zoomed in all the way so I can see what's happening because I can't see it happening on my own screen.
Well, let's review your team and then we'll all get out of here. Let's talk about the rosters, and we'll go through and talk about maybe what we might have done differently, or if this is a team in a 14-team league, again, always more difficult that we want to actually go into the season with. You had Russell Wilson at quarterback, Chubb and Dobbins at your RBs, Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, Marquise Brown, Pat Fryermuth, Rashad Penny, the Pats D, then Garrett Wilson, Robert Woods, Deonta Foreman, Marvin Jones, Amir White, and David Bell. This seems like a pretty good roster to me. I think your grade should be higher, personally. What do you think about this one?
Well, thanks. You can only thank yourself for my grade not being higher, but
I blame Derek, but that's fine. Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. I feel pretty good about it. In the end, I think I should have just held true with waiting for quarterback. I didn't know how long that quarterback run would have gone, but I would have felt comfortable having Derek Carr. When I say QB 14, I'm still comfortable having Derek Carr as my QB 1. I low-key like him to win the passing yards title this year at crazy odds, obviously. So Overall, I think it's okay. I felt good at Jamar Chase with my first pick, and my receivers feel pretty strong. There's definitely some holes. I think I have a strong bench, but the starters are a little So we could see, some of these guys could work out. Some of them won't. They kind of all go on like theories in my head, like, hey, Robert Woods is going to figure it out and get targets because Treylon Burks might not be week 1 ready or whatever.
Derek Brown, you selected Kyler Murray as your quarterback, then Swift and Fournette, 2 RB1s. Very solid. Your wide receivers, Jalen Waddle, Brandon Cooks, Sky Moore, Dalton Schultz is your tight end, James Cook is your flex play, Cleveland Browns, then Isaiah McKenzie, Isaiah Pacheco, Isaiah Rondell Moore, Isaiah Tyrion Davis-Price, Dontrell Hilliard, and then Jalen Warren. So obviously, look, you knew what you were doing here. You went heavy on the RBs. You knew that was going to hurt a little bit at wide receiver, but looking back on it, was that the strategy you're now happy with, how it played out?
I'm happy with this team. I wish, like Erickson was talking about, I would have gone Gabe Davis over Brandon Cooks if I could rewind it back. As well as I thought Dameon Pierce. It says that if I would have got 91 more points for this team, if I'd have gone Dameon Pierce and Gerald Everett over Dalton Schultz and Jalen Warren, well, yes, Wizard. If I thought Dameon Pierce would have lasted another round, I had him at the top of my queue. I love him very much, but apparently BPE loves him more. So I keep talking about get your guys. I didn't follow my own advice here as well as I should have, or I just underestimated Andrew's love for Dameon Pierce. So I would have taken that back too.
Speaking of advice, we have a question here from Gabriel. I know earlier in the chat here, James Cook before Singletary ? So defend it.
It's a PPR league. I like guys that catch passes that are good doing it. Devin Singletary is not good at that. So yeah, I'll take James Cook over Devin Singletary.
All right, let's talk to the big winner here, Andrew Erickson, the best of the analyst group here. So congratulations to you, BPE. Your roster looks like this. Jalen Hurts just snatched from the clutches of Derek Brown, followed by Dalvin Cook. Dameon Pierce is your RB2. A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Gabriel Davis, Zach Ertz, Kadarius Toney. Baltimore Ravens. Then the bench is Treylon Burks, Darrell Williams, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Higbee, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Joshua Kelly. Looking back on this roster, with Pierce's RB2, do you feel in a 14-team league that is strong enough? And do you feel good about the rest of this roster?
Yeah, because that's really the only question mark I have with my team. And if he hits, then I'm going to steamroll everybody. Like that's really what everything is kind of banking on. Like I'm loaded at wide receiver. I have an elite quarterback. I have an elite RB1. So all I need is if Pierce ends up being the bell cow for the Texans, I have a juggernaut squad. And that's really why I think that going with this one running back approach, hero RB, lock up Dalvin Cook, pound wide receiver, and then just take shots at some of these later running backs with breakout potential. Again, I only need to start 2 running backs. So I'll play all 4 wide receivers and 1 wide receiver in my flex in a full point PPR. And like I said, if Pierce hits, like my team is going to be really hard to beat. And I also have the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown stack, which is just beautiful.
Yeah, that's like rubbing
Chef's kiss.
Rubbing the salt in.
It's really bad. All right, for me, Tom Brady, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas. I like that wide receiver core with Jonathan Taylor and Tommy Brady playing quarterback. Yes, I'm light at tight end. Irv Smith, okay. Christian Kirk is the flex. The Colts, Ken Walker, Kenneth Gainwell, KJ Osborne, Noah Fant, Mac Jones, and Michael Gallup. I would definitely go to war with this. And again, we want to make sure everybody's enjoying the show here. Hopefully you like this on the way out here. You give us a little like button here. Just smash that. Make sure you subscribe to Fantasy Pros. I want to thank our incredible guest here, Samantha Previte from the Action Network. She does fantasy, she does wagering, she does everything. Follow her on the Twitter machine at Samantha NFL. Samantha, thank you so much for putting up with us today and doing such great work here. We really appreciate you giving us your time, especially this busy time of the year.
Thank you so much for having me. That B-roll content from before we went live, that was great, you guys. Really enjoyed chatting with you before we went
That's the next step here. I think in the next level, like we've got like MVP, Hall of Fame. It's that next level where you get to see the show before the show. That's the show. That's something.
The After Dark.
The After Dark. Well, Bogman and I do on our Discord. We do Stages After Dark, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. And it is hilarious there. I want to thank our producer Chris for getting everything together here for us, and especially I want to thank all of our participants in the draft. I want to remind our participants as well, too, when you go and we look at the summary of the winner here, Tua legit. You won yourself a subscription upgrade here. Also, Aloha from Hawaii. So make sure you hit us up. Mailbag@FantasyPros.com. Again, mailbag@FantasyPros. Say, I'm the winner. What do I got to do? We'll take care of you after that. So mailbag@FantasyPros to Tua and to Aloha from Hawaii. So they were up there today. And once again, this was just great fun. We hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to Fantasy Pros. Click the bell for notifications. We've got the Fantasy Fest right behind me. You see it. It's right there. Monday, the 29th of August, 3 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. The greatest 6 hours of your life, I'm pretty sure. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be wall-to-wall fantasy football for all of you. And we want you to be a part of it with us. And of course, we are going to be rock and rolling with some of the best names in the industry, and they are all going to be there as well. Go run some drafts yourselves at fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Go buy some beer online at millerlite.com/buybeeronline. Follow us also on TikTok. We're over there. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere on social media that you can find us. And once again, thanks for hanging out and being with us and joining a little fantasy football here as we are getting closer and closer to the start of the season. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for Derek Brown and Andrew Erickson and our guest Samantha Previte. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.